Hallo, herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer Folge von Vampyr. Im letzten Part haben wir ja uns hier im Krankenhaus umgesehen, ein paar Informationen gesammelt zu den Leuten hier und ein paar interessante Ansichten gehört. So, allerdings wollte ich noch, den ich jetzt beim ersten Mal schon gesehen habe, dass wir noch einen Brief haben, den ich schon mal übersehen habe, bei uns, sondern so fürchten sich nicht vor der Sonne oder Feuer. Und sie verbrennen auch nicht. Oder werden zu Asche, wenn sie Tageslicht bekommen. Aber es tut ihnen wirklich höllisch weh. Ich habe mir persönlich einen Vampyr an einen Baum gebunden, um zu sehen, was passiert, wenn die Sonne aufgeht. Seine Haut schwärzte sich in ein paar Minuten, als ob er von innen verbrannt würde. Seine Augen und sein Fleisch schmolzen. Und ich sah, sich seine unheiligen Knochen bewegten und quietschten, als das Monster den ganzen Tag versuchte, freizukommen. Am Ende war er nur noch wie eine ausgetrocknete Leiche, die sich aber wie erholte, nachdem die Sonne hinter den Horizont untergegangen war. Ich schnitt ihm den Kopf ab, um ihn schlussendlich zu vernichten. Als ich dasselbe mit Feuer versuchte, verkohlte ein anderer Blutsauger für immer zu Asche. Feuer ist die Waffe unserer Wahlbrüder. Man tötet die Bestie am besten, indem man sie verbrennt. Aus kennt eure Feinde von Carl Eldridge, Anführer von Praven. Oder Praven. Irgendwie so. Und dann haben wir noch einen anderen Brief gefunden. Über den Rauch von Knoblauch und Holz fehlen. Geschätzte Brüder, ich will eure Aufmerksamkeit auf einen sehr wichtigen Punkt lenken. Den Gebrauch von Knoblauch zur Abwehr von Vampiren. Seien wir diesbezüglich ganz deutlich. Knoblauch wird uns niemals gegen diese Kreaturen beschützen. Es ist egal, wie frisch, stark oder stinkend er ist. Knoblauch ist als Verteidigung völlig nutzlos. Ich kann nicht genug betonen, wie schädlich dieser Aromen von Armstocke war. Ja, Stocke? Egal. Und ja, natürlich legt die Bevölkerung in slawischen Ländern Knoblauchzehen in die Säge. Ja, die Bewohner der Insel Santorin hängen Knoblauch an die Fenster. Es gibt so viele über diesen Ort zu berichten. Und ich werde hoffentlich bald zurückkehren und die okkulten Bräuche dort erforschen. Doch macht man dies nicht, um die Leben vor dem Teufel zu bewahren? Die Toten sollen sich so ihrer Bosheit bewusst werden. Ist ein Zeichen nicht mehr und nicht weniger. Darum ja. Inbrünstig ja. Zeigt und hängt Knoblauch auf und sagt den Schatten, dass ihr keine Furcht kennt. Doch wenn ihr nach übernatürlichen Schutz sucht, so müsst ihr viel tiefer in die vergessenen Geheimnisse der okkulten Bräuche suchen. Hier liegt die Wahrheit, meine Brüder. Knoblauch vertreibt Vampire nicht, aber alle frischen Pflanzen verletzen sie. Es ist, als könnte ihr Körper die Berührung mit botanischen Elementen nicht verkraften. Ich habe gesehen, wie ein wilder Wulpe davon, als man ihn mit einer Rose schlug. Einfache Rose. Ich habe einen gewalttätigen Ikon zu Boden gehen und um Gnade flehen sehen, als man ihn mit einem Holzball traf. Ich weiß nicht, wieso es so effektiv ist. Und ich würde meinen linken Arm hergeben, um die Antwort auf dieses Rätsel zu finden. Aber es bleibt trotzdem eine Tatsache, dass Vampire sehr empfindlich auf frische Kräuter, Pflanzen und Hölzer reagieren. aus im Angesicht der Schatten. Wie und warum? Von Teil 3 Primes von St. Paulus. Ja, ich meine, an der Hose kann sich jeder mal verletzen. Und in Norden zumindest. Und ein Holzblock? Ja, okay. Ich meine, das ist jetzt echt wieder eine doofe Aussage. Ich meine, mit Holzblock kann man viele Menschen verletzen. Nicht nur Vampyre. Hier haben wir noch ein paar Leute.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Ja, da haben wir sie nochmal. Die haben wir schon gesprochen. Wir haben ja noch zwei. Und hier haben wir noch zwei.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Erzähl mal übers Leben hier in London.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
Ich würde jetzt sagen, Hackleiden bringen nichts. Inspiration kann man sich überall suchen, sage ich mal so. Also von dem helfen wir mal gern.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Kann natürlich helfen gegen die Epidemie.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Ja, wirkt ziemlich
You
optimistisch.
seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Kann ich verstehen, dass irgendwann das Lachen auch vergeht.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time.
Ja, noch eine weitere Ortsuntersuchung. Und wir haben auch schon die erste persönliche Frage über die Bluttransfusionsmethoden.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Aykroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Ein bisschen muss man sich trotzdem neutral halten, ne? Gegenüber Patienten oder Kriminellen oder anderen.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Das müsste hier sein. Gut.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Ja, dann...
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Mit Annahmen wird schwierig.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies.
Ja, das kann schwierig werden, vor allem wenn dann auf einmal der Vampyr durchkommt und am Ende müsste das ganze Loot aussagen.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Aber ja, ist eine interessante Perspektive für einen Vergleich.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army. Building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
Okay. Ja, das wird eine tragische Geschichte.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Ellen didn't bring them with her that night.
Ja, das wäre der Overkill gewesen.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Zumindest für seinen mentalen Zustand. Und hier haben wir noch zwei.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Ja, kann ich mir vorstellen, bei so einem überladenen Krankenhaus, dass die da jetzt nicht gerade, weiß ich nicht, den roten Teppich ausrollen.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Ja, es gibt auch noch andere Patienten, die es vielleicht nötiger haben.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Goodbye,
Okay.
Mrs. Goswick.
Da sprechen wir noch mit Sohn.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Okay, das ist merkwürdig.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'll let you get some rest then.
I'm alright.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Ah, dann haben wir noch eine persönliche Frage.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. My boy. Doctor.
Okay. Ganz kurz. Achso, das war... Ja, stimmt, ja, das war Zulieferer. Habe ich gerade gefragt, wieso ist die Person... Ist nicht direkt angezeigt. Ich kann sagen, die Schwester ist nicht mehr hier, oder? Wir haben noch nicht gesprochen gehabt.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed, yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Ja, okay. Jetzt kann ich mir schon... Ja.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Ja, ist schwierig. Ja, stimmt schon. Man muss sie ja nicht direkt anfeinden.
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on. And that is precisely why I want to be sure that you will be of help to this hospital instead of a burden.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Aber wenn sie nützlich sind, spielt das Ego hier wie die große Rolle.
Tell me, Waverly, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Ja, wollen wir es mal hoffen.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Ja, ist ein sehr konservativer Ansatz.
Other people may say that's too conservative a point of view.
Conservative? And what are you going to say to Mr. Fiddick if he loses his arm because of the operation? Because that's what's going to happen if the surgery is a failure.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Aykroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Ja, ist schwierig. Theoretisch. Ja, viele Leben gerettet. Praktisch wirst du es auch gut hoffen.
Knowledge has always been and will remain our main weapon, and it has always come at a price. And personal initiative.
It is not a question of initiative, it is a question of integrity. These men and women have put their faith in us, Dr. Reed.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Aykroyd.
Ja, dir stimme ich auch zu.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Sieht man immer wieder, dass Krieg nur das Schlechteste in den Menschen zeigt. Was er hervorholt. So, hier haben wir jetzt einen neuen Hinweis.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
What do you think of Dr. Aykroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Aykroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Aykroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Ja, die mit ihrer Realität. Das wird auch ein bisschen länger gehen wahrscheinlich. Das sieht auch, sage ich auch, nicht ganz durchschaut. Wir sollen ja herausfinden, wer die hier ausspioniert. Das ist schon nicht so einfach. Aber hier haben wir auch noch einen Hinweis halten. Allerdings würde ich sagen, ich beende den Part an der Stelle auch schon durch. Danke euch fürs Zusehen. Lasst mir schon, dass es euch gefallen hat. Wenn nicht das sollte, könnt ihr euch gerne ein Abo lassen. Und ich hoffe, wir sehen uns in der nächsten Folge von Vampyr wieder.